Hello my friends, the topic of this video is Moses, Amenhotep III and the Exodus 1374 BC. My name is Father Dionysios or Dennis. I'm a Greek Orthodox priest and I have studied archaeology in Athens, Greece. In this video we will examine the historical background of the famous Exodus, the departure of the Israelites from Egypt. Exodus is a Greek word meaning departure, way out, and is the title of the second book of the Old Testament. The Bible doesn't mention the name of the Pharaoh who was the king of Egypt when Prophet Moses became the spiritual leader of the Jewish people. Instead, the Holy Script provides us chronological information about the date of Moses and other important persons of the Bible, such as Noah and Abraham. For example, in chapter 5 of Genesis, we are given a catalogue of persons from Adam to Noah and how old was each father when he begot his son. Afterwards, with simple calculations, we arrive at the exact date of the birth of Moses in the year 1454 BC and the Exodus in 1374 BC. But be careful, these dates are calculated according to the Septuagint, the translation of Old Testament from Hebrew to ancient Greek language, which took place in the 3rd century BC and is used by the Orthodox Church till now. Unfortunately, people in Western Europe and America, mainly Protestants but also some Roman Catholics, instead of reading and using the Septuagint, they use the Masoretic text, which provides completely wrong numbers of ages. Now, let us compare the year 1374 BC with the historical facts concerning ancient Egypt. This period is called New Kingdom and belongs to the late Bronze Age in Middle East. And the Pharaoh of Egypt during this period was Amenhotep III. Also, since Moses was born in 1454 BC, the pharaoh of his birth was Thutmose III, the great-grandfather of Amenhotep III. Let us make a comment in the birth of Moses. Bible says that a brutal pharaoh came to power when Moses was born, who gave the order to the Hebrew midwives to kill every newborn Jewish boy in order to destroy the Hebrew manpower. Does this narrative match with the personality of Thutmose III? Yes, absolutely. As we learn through history, Thutmose III was a tough military commander who conducted numerous campaigns and transformed Egypt into an international superpower. And as the Bible states, he was afraid that Jews might become military allies with his enemies someday. On the other hand, Amenhotep III was not engaged in campaigns and battles, but devoted himself to extensive building in Egypt. According to Exodus book, this pharaoh confronted Moses, and because he was arrogant and stubborn, he suffered the so-called 10 plagues. The last plague was the death of all firstborn masculines in Egypt, even the firstborn boy of Pharaoh. Exodus 12.29. Do we have any proof of this plague? Yes, we know about the eldest son of Amenhotep III and Queen Tiye, who was also called Thutmose, and served as a priest of the Egyptian god Ptah in ancient Memphis. He was crown prince but died early, so the heir to the throne became the younger son of Amenhotep III, who was called Amenhotep IV. Someone might ask the question, do you have Egyptian accounts of the Exodus apart from the Old Testament? No, because most of the ancient kings never commemorated their defeats, their disasters or failures. They would never admit in their documents or pieces of art that they were humiliated by their enemies. They only boasted about their glorious victories, and they concealed their failures. So don't expect to find in the monuments built during the reign of Amenhotep any reference to the Exodus. However, we have a very interesting fact which has to do with Egyptian history after the death of Amenhotep III. Let us focus on the son and successor of Amenhotep III, who was Amenhotep IV, as we said before. This new pharaoh decided to provoke a religious revolution in Egypt. He changed his name into Akhenaten or Akhenaton instead of Amenhotep. He opposed the worship of god Amun and declared Aten as the sole god, beside whom there is none. How can we explain the actions of Akhenaten? Was he a mad and fanatic ruler who only wanted to cause trouble to his country and his people? Let us try to dig deeper into the historical facts. We don't know exactly when Akhenaten was born, if he was born before or after the 10 plagues in 1374 BC. But one thing is sure, Akhenaten was aware of the terrible events that happened in Egypt. He knew about the conflict between his father and Moses and the result of this fight. And he knew that the Egyptian priests were defeated and humiliated by the God of Moses. Everyone in Egypt knew that the Egyptian gods, Amun and the others, proved incompetent and useless in front of Moses and the God who gave power to Moses. That's why Akhenaten decided to reject these false gods and polytheism, and he introduced a type of monotheism. But since he didn't know who exactly is this one true God, he decided to worship Aten, the sun god of Egypt. Perhaps the most impressive thing is that Akhenaten tried to persecute the priesthood of Egypt. We imagine that Akhenaten realized what the Bible itself says about the pagan priests, that they are not original priests, but wizards, servants of the demons, who lead people astray. If Exodus happened in 1374 BC, everything that Akhenaten did can be explained logically. He is absolutely justified. If Exodus didn't happen in 1374 BC, we reach to the conclusion that Akhenaten is one of the most insane and failed ruler of antiquity. We must also add the fact that Sigmund Freud, the famous neurologist, wrote a book with the title The Man Moses and the Monotheist Religion. He suggested that Moses was a priest of Akhenaten who fled Egypt after the death of Akhenaten in order to survive. Of course, this is completely wrong and proves that Freud had dated the birth of Moses 1 century later. Moses was older, not Akhenaton. Moses influenced Akhenaton, not Akhenaton Moses. This is why correct chronology is very important, not only in history but also in Bible. Finally, we will refer to the chapter 47 of Genesis, where we learn about the region of Goshen, the land where the Israelites settled in Egypt. The land of Goshen is also named District of Ramesses in 47.11 verse. This information, in combination with verse 1.11 of Exodus book, confused many modern people who consider that the Pharaoh of Exodus was King Ramesses II, who lived during the 13th century BC. But this is also incorrect, because Bible mentions the area with the name Ramesses, not the person. Thank you for watching this video, and if you want to contact with me, my email is diodorosramos@gmail.com.